university, the one university that does not have a football team, that keeps us up too darn late because we're too nervous. Can't you win the game without going into overtime, or barely win the game without going into overtime? How can you just go to bed after that? I was a nervous wreck last night. Anyway, this is a wonderful topic. Welcome to come. It's really more about the history of knowing birds. And so I'm going to take you all back to the 1880s. How did you know birds in the 1880s? If you didn't have somebody very smart around you, nobody had any way of really knowing birds. Are we gone? I think so. No. Help me here. There we go. Anyway, who came to the rescue? Mom and Hannah came to the rescue. Not only does the box says it has over 100 uses, and I've heard a good one today, and we all probably have one or two boxes sitting around, but in the 1880s it came to the rescue of being aware of birds. And baking soda is a sodium bicarbonate. You could go in your kitchen and make it if you wanted to. It's a little complicated. But thankfully for us, in 1846, Church and Dwight first prepared bicarbonate soda, or baking soda, in the John's kitchen. And they put it in paper bags and sold it that way, little paper bags. That's in the 1846, pre-Civil War. And as you all know, it's got a lot of different uses, cleans, deodorizes. I clean all the fruit I buy at Kroger's with it, or wherever, just to make sure all the bad stuff's off of it. And it leavens bread, so it has lots of uses. So what was the trouble? If you were starting a very small fledgling business, how did you promote it? How did you promote the business? There was not television. There wasn't. There was not radio. You could run an ad in a newspaper, but that was very, very local, or maybe a magazine, but you really didn't have an easy way of promoting your new business. And what the fad that started in the late 1800s was trading cards. People started collecting trading cards of all kinds. And probably many people in this room have baseball cards, football cards, all kinds, bubblegum cards, all kinds. But they said, why, we could do this with cards. Well, at the same time, and here was their very first Arm & Hammer trading card from 1870. If you got one in your pocket, goodness knows it might be worth 35, 40 cents today. Who knows? If you've got one of those. But they were also conservation-minded, and this was an era of conservation-mindedness, where national parks were starting to be founded to protect and save pristine land before we messed it up. And so they wanted to promote wildlife. So they wanted to raise public awareness of just what birds were. And also, for all young boys, BB guns were invented in 1886. And boy, if you're a young boy with a BB gun and don't know any better, you want to go shoot a bird. They don't hold still, you want to go shoot a bird. We don't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore. I still have a BB gun, but I don't use it. That's my only defense. So anyway, but they started selling these birding cards with this as their motto: useful birds of America, for the good of all, do not destroy the birds. That became their theme. That was on all the cards. And every time you bought a box of baking soda, it came with a card. And of course, Mom would buy it. The kids said, "Oh, can I have it?" Because the kids would go nuts over these little cards, as well a lot of adults do too. But that's how they came. Here's one of my oldest. See if I can look. Late 1800s, that's one of the first cards. That's passenger pigeons. 2 passenger pigeons. So they were not only raising awareness, the kids or even anybody did not have a way of knowing what a species was. What was this? What was that? There's no way of knowing that. So that was one of the very first ones, and I had that card. That happens to be my hand. Anyway, on the back of every card, there's a little description of the different things you can use baking soda, Armand baking soda for, and at the bottom was a paragraph about that particular species, what was going on with it, how to look for it, where it lived, those kind of basic things that you need to know when you start learning birds. And now I can tell you, 96 million adults are into birds. We either feed the birds or we go somewhere to find a bird. We're lucky we live in East Tennessee. There's so many birds here, but that's how many people like you that really are into birds. Now, if you didn't want to wait to mom buying 30 boxes of baking soda, that's possible, but you didn't want to wait. Even back then, you could send, what is that? I'm having trouble reading, I'm afraid I would. 6 cents in coins or stamps. Whoa. For a kid, 6 cents, whoa. And 2 church and Dwight Church and Dwight Church. Anyway, and you'd get a whole packet of 30 cards. Mom, can I have 6 cents in coins or stamps? Boom. So, 6 cents. Anyway, move on. And here is one of my best sets that I have. I don't have the complete set, but I have many of those. Oh, by the way, Larry brought, I'm going to pass these around. Where you at, Larry? Whoa, way in the back. Larry brought part of his collection, so I'm going to pass these around, and he counted them, so he knows how many are in here, so everybody can look at them. Just pass them around to see how small they are and how wonderful they are. Obviously, they're small. They fit in a box of baking soda. Anyway, this happened in the late 1800s and early 1900s. This was the way to learn how to start identifying. And so you'd walk out and with your cards with you, and if you saw a brand new species you'd never seen, you saw a Baltimore Oriole, but what the world is that you'd be trying to find the card? So that's how it was done then. Now finally in 1917, somebody came up with a very academic bird book. I brought that too. I thought about passing it around, but it weighs a good 20 pounds. Anyway, this was the first book out there to really Amazon bird. Wow. Anyway, we just opened that to identify birds, but this is kind of a lot to carry around. Now, as I think probably most people in the room, including myself, Roger Troy Peterson in 1934 came up with the Peterson's Field Guide. It was a book small enough to take out. And that's 1934. So Armand Hammer had been working on this already for 3 decades. But he is credited, and I read about this, no publisher would publish his book initially because they said it was too small. Well, that's too small. But then finally found a publisher and went crazy. So that's what happens. If any writer in the room, you just got to find a publisher that's on your wavelength. And here's another passenger pigeon card from 1908. I'm having a little issue, and I'm afraid I would. The beautiful colored wild pigeons is now almost extinct due to brutal slaughter in the past half century. This is a bird I think we know. We ate them out of existence. We absolutely ate. This is before you could run down to Food City and buy chicken breast. You just go out and shoot a passenger pigeon, and they would pass through any area in masses, absolute masses. Pigeon Forge is named after the passenger pigeon that used to come through there in masses. Anyway, the last one died September 1st, 1914. Her name was Martha. She was at the Cincinnati Zoo to be protected, the very last. And I took this photograph. I went to the Smithsonian in 2005 and took a photograph of poor dear Martha, the very last passenger pigeon. So they've been gone since 1914. And another one. This God, I would have loved to have seen this bird. Carolina parakeet. They used to live in this area, come through this area. The last one died at the same place, at the Cincinnati Zoo. They got a special aviary there where they were protecting very special birds. And the last one died February 21st, 1918. And her card, the card is number 9. It's from 1900 and it's number 56. So even the card was saying, hey, we gotta protect this, it's about to go extinct. So there were, not only was Army and Hammer trying to teach you how to identify birds, but be aware of birds we were losing, so you wouldn't go out and shoot a passenger pigeon or shoot a beautiful cow. These guys would roost like chimney swifts down in a hollow tree. They would fly around, but at night they'd down into the hollow tree and they'd roost inside the tree. I write about that in my first book. Roseate spoonbill, 1908 card, whose handsome plumage was once much admired by visitors to Florida. Persecution so reduced its numbers that is now rarely seen. That's from 1908. In those days, if you went on a vacation to Florida, you bought a fan as a souvenir, and the fan was made out of pink feathers. So this bird almost went gone, or got gone, even that's not right, because of souvenirs bought in Florida. Good news, good news, good news, good news. This one has been saved. Yay! Yay! And I have personally seen one in Blount County.
No.
They do, yo, trust me. Anyway, they are occasionally working their way up into Tennessee. They have expanded the range, and much like the great blue heron. So I have seen one in Blount County, and a friend of mine named Nick, he took this photograph in East Tennessee, and I forget the name of the creek he saw it by, but word got out that there was a spoonbill around this creek, and he went out and saw it and sent me the photograph. So yes, this is a bird that has been saved by the knowledge of let's protect this beautiful pink bird. In my book, Ghost Birds, I write a little bit about the spoonbill because it was back then, it was still believed to be going extinct. I had to throw this one in. I just love blue jays. And I love them. I tried to excerpt some of the text off the back of the card. I couldn't even write this way. Anyway, this is a 1910 card, blue jay. This naughty bird has a fondness for eggs and nestlings, but its jaunty, reckless air does much to make us overcome its shortcomings. It's jaunty, restless. They are. They're jaunty. I love to feed blue jays. They love whole peanuts. Oh my gosh. But they'll pop in and they will grab a whole peanut and take off with it. So I love blue jays. This one may be tough for me to read. American kestrel. It was back then called sparrowhawk. It's not a hawk. We now know that it's a falcon. It's the smallest falcon in North America and South America. As a destroyer of grasshoppers, beetles, crickets, caterpillars, and other insect enemies, this little hawk, it's not a hawk, deserves to rank with the birds most beneficial to man. I just love that text. Whoa, scary. Anyway, it's not a sparrowhawk, it's a kestrel. And truthfully, it's not even related to the European kestrel. We now know it's in the parrot family. Once we have become wise enough to do DNA, we now know it is actually a carnivorous parrot. So,
Okay.
and here's a photo of me in this store, and I'm holding on to a little kestrel that had a very badly damaged wing, but was under my care. That would have been right around the end of the pandemic. His name was Doc. So that's me with little Doc. Oh my gosh, what a wonderful. He couldn't fly. That's why I could take care of him. I had a permit from state authorities who had this bird. He only lived sadly a year. I talked to Dr. Greenacre at UT Veterinary Hospital at the time, and she said the wound was so massive she was afraid there were blood clots eventually would work their way to the brain, and it did. He got where he was very unsteady and then finally just passed. I know. He was, okay, move on. Turkey, turkey, turkey. 1914 card. Our largest game bird and worth every effort to bag. Uh-oh, that sounds pretty bad to me. It is a game bird. Anyway, we almost bagged these and ate these out of existence. I write about these in my first book. The Christmas bird count of 1946 only found 4 in the entire state of Tennessee. We almost bagged them right out of existence, but they made a comeback. I read a wonderful manuscript by a retired TWRA officer of how hard they worked to get turkeys back to some good state in all counties of the state, and they did well. I took this photograph in my driveway. In 2001, there was 10 turkeys standing in my driveway.
Awesome.
And there was only 4 in the whole state. 1946 were found. Right there, wow. Did my heart proud. Anyway, they're out there. I know you see them roaming around. It's because they've had TWRA's done a lot of work to bring these back. Oh, goodness, if I can read this. Everyone loves a nuthatch. This is a 1914 card. Most patient, industrious, and unrelenting is the feathered enemy of tree borers. In the wintertime, feed them suet. Yes, they love suet in the winter. And the nuthatch will show its apparent
Appreciation.
Thank you. Did everybody get that? You may read it easier than I can. I'm reading it at an odd angle. But again, I just pulled a couple of sentences off the back of the card because of that vengeance talk. They made an enemy out of all insects, and that's not good because birds eat insects. But that's the little nuthatch. Oh, speaking of which, barn owl, 1914 card, the barn owl is most useful destroyer of rats and mice, and so valuable to feathered, a valuable feathered friend. Please forgive my stutterness here. Anyway, as Timmy just told you, there will be a barn owl in this building in November. Its name is Thistle. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Look, where are we at?
You went backwards, accidentally.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, there will be a barn owl in this building, in this room in November, so make sure you get here and get here early. It's the most popular program I think we've ever done. I think we had 100 people 2 years ago. But you get to see this absolutely gorgeous barn owl. And again, this is one owl that is declining in numbers because they hunt over open fields, very much like the kestrel is declining in numbers because they hunt over open fields, farmland, and open fields and farmland is being reduced, habitat loss. But we'll have one in here, and that's Lisa Thomason, and the middle is her husband, Chris. And I think that's Warren hiding behind Lisa, and Miss Rebecca. You have to come to see that gorgeous owl. Well, she'll have other owls too, and owls are just all gorgeous. Come on, move on. Killdeer, killdeer, killdeer. It gets its name by what? It's killdeer, killdeer. It seems to say its name. 1914 card, valuable destroyer of harmful insects and beetles, as well as destructive crawfish. It is a pity that gunners have so depleted their ranks. Now today it is declining, but it is now protected. Ever since 1918, all native birds are protected, and that's unless it's listed as a game bird, and then there's a short hunting season on game birds. But anyway, this bird is still declining. I don't see him as often. It's unusual in that it's a shorebird that decided to come live inland. It got tired of all those hurricanes, so they live here. You often see them in parking lots or along the river or one of our lakes, but that's killed here. Here's another bird in decline, Bumbuck quail, 1914 card. The farmer has no more. Can you guys read that? Surely not in the back. Okay. Anyway, it is still declining in numbers. And this is, they're working on, TWRA is working on this problem now of bringing our population back. And we all would go visit grandparents who lived on the farm and would hear this, blah, 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 blah. So, but it is declining in numbers. And speaking of declining in numbers, Ivory-billed woodpecker, 1914, once a common bird in the southern states. I'm not too sure that's true. It is much to be deplored that this fine woodpecker is now threatened with extinction. This fine woodpecker is still threatened with extinction. U.S. Fish and Wildlife in 2023 decided they were going to declare this bird extinct, finally. But there's a group of ivory-billed woodpecker aficionados, including some college professors that know stuff, saying we know where some are at, we're keeping our mouths shut, and they, U.S. Fish and Wildlife said, okay, if you know, if you can verify. But as many of you know, I wrote an entire book about ghost birds, and a man named James T. Tanner, who taught at UT and studied ivory bills in the 1930s. So that's my book, Ghost Birds. This is a 1918 cowbird. The most remarkable fact is that this lazy bird is its way of laying its eggs in another bird's nest. It's nest parasite. In my new book, I write about the cowbird and why we changed this behavior. So that I defended the cowbird. So I'm one of the few, but that's in my new book.
Which we have.
Which is for sale here.
Yep.
Thank you very much for that little advertisement over there.
Got it.
Who's next? We're doing well on time. Red-winged blackbird, 1918 card, is a well-known inhabitant of reedy marshes throughout North America. Sadly, this bird is declining because it's losing habitat. There's not as many reedy marshes around. Whenever I'm driving somewhere and I see an area that's low-lying with water and some cattails or something growing, that's where they love to nest in cattails. But their numbers are declining because their habitat is declining. It's very much like the kestrel and the barn owl are declining because their habitat is declining. Don't worry, backyard birds, you guys are doing great. They're doing perfect because you're taking care of them. American crossbill, now known as red crossbill, 1918 card, is unique in that the strange form of its bill, which is adapted for popping open pine cones from spruces and other scaly cones. Now, if you ask it, where can I see one of these birds, Stephen Ladd? The only time I have personally ever seen one is in the Smokies on a ridge that's got pine trees. And then I went up towards Thunderhead and the trail went through an area of pine trees, and I saw one bouncing around. But again, they're unique in that their bill is crossed and they can stick it in a pine cone and pop it open. Red crossbill.
Are you taking binoculars or?
Yeah, pretty much for a bird like that, you really do have to have binoculars. And go to the right habitat and just look for them. You won't turn up in your back, highly unlikely to turn, you can't ever say won't. Highly unlikely to turn up in your backyard. But that's, they're only here in the wintertime, but I was so excited to be up there jumping up and down saying Crossbill, Crossbill. I'm like,
Nobody.
nobody. Nobody.
We were with you in spirit.
Crossbill, Crossbill. That was a Christmas bird count of about 10 years ago. I was counting birds up there. Oh, the loggerhead shrike. 1918. This is a songbird that thinks it's a bird of prey. It does. It's got the mentality of a bird of prey because it kills prey. The shrike is noted for a curious habit of impaling grasshoppers and other prey upon thorns and twigs. If it has a good day out in that field and our pesticides haven't killed all the grasshoppers, and it kills more than it needs to eat, it'll impale a few along the way. If you're driving down a country road and see a barbed wire fence, and that looks like a grasshopper. Why did it kill itself? No, it wasn't. It was to impale. They'll also do mice, small mice, and they'll do a smaller bird too. So if you see any of that, either on a thorn like honey locust has thorns, or on a barbed wire fence, a loggerhead shrike is in there.
How big is this bird?
How big? That's a good question. Well, I'm going to say roughly mockingbird size.
What bird?
Mockingbird size. We all kind of identify that size, roughly. And it's called loggerhead because it looks too big for its body, but it's intense and it's going to start swallowing a mouse in a minute or something. But anyway, it's a songbird, a large songbird that thinks it. See, the fascinating, I just said earlier, 96 million people are nuts about birds. You backyard birds, or anywhere you go, you look for birds, because a lot of birds don't come to the backyard. But, and every time you do that and find a new bird, it goes on your life list, so you collect birds. And there's 10,000 to be found on the planet. So I knew people in the bird club that were planning all of their vacations. We're going to New Zealand. There's a bunch of birds we've never seen in New Zealand. Yeah, I reckon. Okay, who's next? Oh, ruby-throated hummingbird, 1933 card, 1933. Well known to enjoy, well known to everyone for its luxuriant flower garden, with a luxuriant flower garden. Tiny gnats and spiders supply the remainder of its diet. I love that line because most people don't know that it really does. It eats protein. It loves our sugar water. It loves it. It's like going for nectar. And right now, if you've still got a lot of flowers around your house, you may still have hummingbirds. And it's getting kind of late in the season for them. But they do grab every bug and small insect they can find and eat those. That's their protein. So that's a ruby throat. That's a male. The female has a white throat. And Kristen, I thought you were here. We're so hopeful that winter, I know we're putting too much pressure on you, Kristen. Kristen and her husband had a dark chin hummingbird at their house last December. That's a winter species. It was the first one that Mark Armstrong ever banded in this area. And I am so hopeful. Now, birds do tend to go back, or like us, go back to where they found hospitality. So,
He had the full setup, so if he doesn't come back, then.
okay then, there'll be an open invitation. Just call her first. She likes to hold the numbers down in her living room to about 30.
Yeah, literally.
I'm sorry, Kristen.
It's all right.
You can throw something at me if you want to.
No, it's totally okay.
But it was so exciting.
Yes, hopefully if you go, we'll be back.
Okay. Where are we at?
Oh,
Ah. 1938 card, meadowlark, primarily a ground feeder. It destroys an immense amount of grasshopper. Now, these birds that destroy so many grasses, they still don't do as much as our pesticides do today. Grasshoppers, beetles, crickets, and cutworms nest under an arch of grasses and weeds. This is a bird that's in decline. The numbers I found are, this species is down 75% since probably 1970. I think that's the date I keep reading. So it's out there, but not nearly as many. I'm reasonably sure you can still find them at Seven Islands. They protect that state birding park for the birds. Occasionally I would see them and hear them along Cherokee Trail, the greenway that follows the river. So that's meadowlark. Oh, one of my favorite woodpeckers, the flicker, 1838 card, wow. Anyway, often it is seen on the ground, standing over an anthill.
Just
What
really-
does that mean? Somebody standing on an anthill. That's what they eat ants. Upon the inhabitants of which it feasts with delight. So, and I forgot to point out, many of the cards were drawn by Louis Agassiz Fuentes. He was one of the noted bird illustrators of the time, and there's his name on this one. If he did the illustration, his name's on the card. Yeah, common nighthawk, I'm checking my time. Common nighthawk, which at home in the crowded cities. This is one bird you do find in the crowded cities, not hidden away, because it likes bright lights. It flies under the bright lights to get insects that's flying under. The nighthawk performs an invaluable service to mankind in destroying great numbers of larger aerial insects, really. It's the nighthawk. I think I've said it before, it's not a hawk. It's not a hawk at all. It is related to whippoorwills and chuck-bill's widow, so it's in the nightjar family because it's active at night and it's vocal at night, but it's not a hawk. Who's next? Bingo. I had one of these passed through a couple of weeks ago, came to my bird bag. It's an American red star. It's the easy, probably, and this is on the back of the card too. It's the easiest warbird to identify. Warblers are tough. They're subtle, the difference in colors, facial colors, color on the sides. This one is gorgeous. The males are black and UT orange, and the females are black and yellow. So I did have a male pass through about 2 weeks ago. It's migrating. So it's headed south for the winter, but maybe it remembered my bird bath, so it came down and had a good drink. Wasn't able to get a photograph of it, but it's a lot of them spend most of their winters in Cuba, where they're known as latrine birds. Kind of not a beautiful name, but they hang around the latrines and eat all the insects that are attracted to the latrines. So if you happen to be in Cuba and you need to go, if you need to go, we all need to go.
Watch for a red star.
Yeah, just watch for a red star in wintertime. Say, honey, I need to go. Go. I'm going to look for that red star while I'm in there. Well, I hope you find it there. Anyway, who's that? Oh, okay. We're getting close, okay. Eastern kingbird, 1938 card. I usually don't do the Latin names, but its Latin name is Tarantus tarantus. That is a darn good Latin name. It is a fearless. It'll chase hawks and eat bees. Yeah, this is the one member of the flycatcher family who does. He said, you eat those flies. This one will go after anything with a stinger. So they're tough and intense. They'll grab a bee or a wasp, beat the thing to death on a branch, and then eat it. Now this is a tough bird. So that's Eastern kingbird, and that's why it's called the kingbird. It goes after those bees or wasps. Anyway. Let's wrap this up. We're getting about there. Raise public awareness. From the 1800s until 1976, 15 sets. These cards were produced of an estimated total of 390 cards. So if you're just now starting your collection, get busy. They're no longer sadly, they're no longer in a box of baking soda. You usually can find them at an estate sale maybe, or a garage sale maybe, or America's estate sale is eBay. And go to eBay. And you might be able to fill out a collection of 390 cards. And of the 390, there are some of the species that are duplicated. I don't remember how many I currently have. I think I have about 80 cards, so I'm not even close. And time's running out for me. Anyway, but there are some species that there's 2 different cards, and here are 2 different bluebird cards. And pat yourself on the back. This is something I say a lot. This is a bird that was rare in the 1920s, absolutely rare. And we brought them back primarily by putting up nest boxes. They became rare because they used a woodpecker hole in a dead tree, naturally. But we cut down dead trees for firewoods beginning in pre-1920, so there weren't that many left. So the movement to put up nest boxes and maintain them has brought this bird back. Now they're very common, very common. And a couple that, since I worked at IMS for so long, I did work for several birds of prey. And this was a eastern screech. Their last set came out with the bicentennial, 1975, and they finally said, America will accept bird of prey cards. They were afraid to, they had all these illustrations. They didn't want to do birds of prey, but they finally said, okay, we're a kinder, gentler nation. They will accept birds of prey. And how can you not accept the screech owl? And please come in November, because Lisa will have 1 or 2 screech owls with her. That's a screech owl card from 1975. The little screech owl is an aid to man with a particular penchant for destroying insects and small rodents. Yes, they eat cicadas up in the trees. That's the little screech owl. And here's a picture of my younger self with a screech owl. When I first started working at IMS Nature Center. They're darling. So again, November, they will be in this room. And I think is this finally, the bald eagle, 1975 card, named national emblem in 1782. Although harmless, it is today an endangered species. That's no longer true. Threatened by pesticides, contaminated fish, and removal of its nest trees. Anyway, it was in 2024 that somebody, it was our national emblem since 1782, but we never put it in writing. It wasn't written anywhere. It was just, anyway, so it's President Biden, what he signed into law on Christmas Eve 2024. Yes, this is the national emblem, finally in writing. And as you know, bald eagles now live in this area. They didn't historically live in this area, but TVA changed this area from a raging river that flooded routinely to a series of still water lakes. So now we have bald eagles, osprey, great blue heron, et cetera, all those birds that like shallow water. I think we're done.